Hi, everyone. Welcome back along to the show. So, in the industry, lots and lots of people, including myself, have talked about why it's important to focus on outcomes, business outcomes, when you're working on a data strategy. And the benefits of that are huge. And I'm not going to focus on that in this episode, but aligning to business outcomes is one of the best ways of ensuring that your data strategy stands up, gets buy-in, gets approval, gets investment, but also that the work you do is really focused on the kind of things that the organization is trying to achieve. Now, that's easier said than done in many organizations, and it's easier said than done in lots of instances because it can be really hard to know how to align a data strategy, the work that you're doing, reports that you're building, data products that you're putting together, back to business outcomes, and certainly back to that alignment with the business strategy. So what I wanted to talk about today is the value and the use of kind of top-down thinking in how we put together our data strategy, how we put together the work that we do at a kind of more functional level, in terms of the day-to-day operations that we do within data teams and within data work, the use of top-down thinking to help us to identify the right things to work on, and the right things to align ourselves to. Now, if you imagine a pyramid, and at the top of that pyramid is a goal. It's a strategic or operational objective that will support the success of the organization. Now, the organization will have a bunch of goals. They will have a bunch of things that they're trying to achieve. Some have these really clearly written down in a sort of strategic paper. Some will be just known within the organization. Some will be based around some, OKRs, outcomes and key results process that is put together. But an organization normally has a set of goals, a set of things that it's trying to achieve, those objectives that will help them achieve success in the organization that they're in. Now, the next layer down are benefits, and these are positive outcomes contributing to that goal. So the things that we will achieve by focusing on those objectives, the benefits, the things that we're going to get to. Now, below that is where it really starts to get interesting in terms of actionable things we can do in data, because use cases are actionable, measurable statements of outcome that you're looking to achieve. These use cases will help you to deliver those benefits, and those benefits will help you to deliver that goal. Now, underneath use cases is business questions. These are the questions that you have around the business about performance, about the things that are going on that can be answered via data. And if we answer those business questions, we can deliver those use cases, which drive those benefits, which help us achieve our goals. So if you think about that as a pyramid, and at the top we have goals, we then step down into benefits, we then step down into use cases, we then step down into business questions, and then we step down into data. That kind of top-down thinking really helps us to build a proper picture and know that we've got good alignment between the data work that we're doing, the platforms that we're building, the dashboards we're putting together, leading up to an aligned goal that the organization is trying to achieve. But how do we know what our goals are, the things that we want to achieve? As I said, well, there's the macro perspective. There's the kind of like very strategic way of doing that, and things like balanced scorecard that have been around for a long time, I think since the 60s or 70s, where it looks at the financial measures, the internal business processes, the customers, the learning and growth within the organization. We can look at goals based on those paradigms and put together the things that we're trying to achieve. We could maybe take a broader perspective. We could identify goals within the organization, within the team that we're in, within projects that we're working on, even personal goals that individuals want to try and achieve, and look at where they overlap and pick the things that support the biggest combination of those, if you like. So things that impact the organization, the team, the projects we're working on, and personal goals and objectives. We need to understand this wider context, in order to identify what our suitable goals are. And what our aim here is to find the right goals. Now, some organizations, as I mentioned, don't always have a really well-crafted strategy. It doesn't use balanced scorecard. It hasn't got a well-written down strategy. And often people within organizations can kind of grumble about this, but it's quite common not to have it clearly defined, or at least have something that's defined, but it's quite high level and hard to kind of unpick and pull out the bits that are relevant. So one of the ways that you can sort of start to think about, well, what are our goals, is to look for hotspots within the organization and to look across the business value chain of the organization and identify where there are problems, there are opportunities to improve the business. So if you think about retailer, for example, they might go through the sort of value chain of ranging products, sourcing those products, pricing those products, putting them through the supply chain, getting them into shops or into our online website, marketing those products, looking at the customer experience, and then improving our product ranging and sourcing and pricing and supply chain based on the things that we learn. So there's kind of like a value chain that the organization sort of runs on, if you like. And if we look at that, we can start to identify where there are problems and hotspots. It could be in consumer trends that are telling us something different about the way we range our products. It could be some problems within the supply chain about things taking too long or products going missing. It could be in the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of our marketing. So we'll be able to see, if we look across the business value chain of an organization, where there are hotspots that we could focus our attention, that really helps us give us better goals that we can build our approach around. Now, once we've got our goals sorted, we need to understand, well, what are the benefits? What are the things that the positive outcome that we can achieve that contributes to us delivering that goal? Now, that's something that can be a challenge to unpick, but it certainly is something we need to sort of define so that we can get to the heart of what it is that the positive sort of thing we can truly impact. And I pull on often a list that Doug Laney in his book Infonomics created. There are 12. These are actually 12 benefits of doing data within your organization and they're all business things that the organization wants to achieve, from increasing customer acquisition to reducing costs of running the business, to bartering for goods and services, to entering new markets, to introducing new business lines. All of these things are benefits that help us to contribute to the goals that we want to achieve. So identifying what those benefits are, putting a number on that if you can, or at least putting a value statement against those benefits, helps us to show that by focusing on these goals, where there's some specific tangible or even intangible benefits that we look to achieve by focusing on these goals. So sort of second layer of the pyramid. Now, the third layer of this pyramid is use cases. So you may have heard the phrase use cases, and it's one of these things that's thrown about a little bit and means lots of different things, from a use case for some technology or other things. But what a use case is an actionable, important, measurable, very important, statement of an outcome that you're looking to achieve. So we know our goals, we know our benefits, but the statement of what we're looking to achieve that is both actionable and measurable helps us to build a better picture of where we're heading. And we can use this structure of we want to, by, in order to. And that structure helps us to put together a really clear sentence that tells us what we want to do. So we want to change or stop or update or improve or provide something, a business priority maybe, by measuring or tracking or analyzing something or a set of data points in order to increase or achieve or deliver something, one kind of goal. So if we put that into a full sentence, it might be something like, we want to, say, improve the efficiency of our warehouse by measuring the travel time for products moving between zones in order to remove blockers and increase the throughput. So this sentence gives us a really clear statement. We know what we want to achieve, we know how we're going to achieve it, and we know the effect of focusing on that, or at least what we're trying to affect, to give us the full statement of use case. And it must be an outcome that we can focus on. It must be something that we can take action from, and it must be something that we can measure. Now that feeds through. So we've got our goal, we've got our benefits, we've now got our use case. And ideally, we would go through that mechanism. We go that top down, and this top down thinking, it can be done, but sometimes that top down action is quite it's not really a reality. You know, the things that are outside of control, work requests for changes, for projects, for deliverables come into the team. But to make sure we're working on the things that are most valuable, which is what this is often all about, we need to align the work that we do to the benefit statement that we've said. And we can use these use cases to do that. And then these use cases can become, if you like, the linchpin for your data strategy. And if you hear me talk about data strategy and other podcasts or other webinars or other content that I put out, you'll know that these are like the quarterback for your business strategy, to give you the real operational focus and strategic focus of what you do with data and data strategy, to make sure that it's super aligned to business strategy and business objectives. Now, once we've got these use cases, sort of to the fourth layer of the pyramid, we can consider the business questions that we want. Now, business questions are essentially a question that we have about something, often business performance or a performance of a particular activity, that can be answered via data. And what we want to do is pull out the business questions that help us to better understand the things that contribute to and the things that could directly drive the use case that we've defined. So there might be a bunch of questions that tell us, in my example before about the warehouse, whether the warehouse is effective, about problems within the warehouse. It might be that it tells us a little bit about how we interact with the chain of events that happen within the conveyor belt within the warehouse, or the way that people or vehicles move around the warehouse to pick products. All those sorts of things. We have questions about the situation, and that helps us to create some insight, that helps us to create some understanding. And then, if we move further through on the data value chain to sort of more predicting what might happen and forecasting what might happen a bit more, we can use those business questions to not only understand what has happened, but also help us to understand what might happen. And business questions form the basis of this. Now, it's really important those business questions are written in a way that can be answered via data, as I said just a minute ago. And what I mean by that is we want statements like, how many people visited the website last week in country A, rather than what impact does the website have on sales? Because what impact does the website have on sales is too broad a question at this stage to be able to properly answer it. We need the level of question that gives us something tangible that we can go after. So we've got this pyramid. We've got goals that are outcomes we want to achieve. We've got benefits that tell us, that will contribute to those goals. We've got the use cases that give us something really tangible and actionable to go after. And we've got business questions that are questions that we might answer in order to help us to unpick the situation and make it better. So if I lay that out, let me start from the top to give you a full example all the way through. So a goal might be to improve the warehouse efficiency. So we have a warehouse, we want to make it more efficient. Supplier of goods and services, a product vendor, a retailer, anyone with a warehouse might have this goal of improving its efficiency. It might also be an always on goal. The benefits to making this happen would be, for example, better resource allocation, increasing outbound deliveries, or reducing the costs. We've got 3 really strong benefits that help us achieve that goal. We've got a use case, the one I mentioned before. We want to improve the efficiency of our warehouse by measuring the travel time for products moving between zones in order to remove blockers and increase throughput. That's our use case. And our business questions to unpick that use case might be, well, how many products pass through our warehouse? Which products take the longest time to move from zone A to zone B? Which packers are the slowest? Are there certain days when throughput is low? These are business questions that help us to understand and deliver on that use case. And then the data that we might need will be things like the product hierarchy, the warehouse schedule, the warehouse timesheets, supply chain movements and statuses, staff working hours, working patterns. That's the data we might need. So if you think about this top down, we've gone from a goal that we want to achieve all the way down to the data that we might need. Now, the really important thing here is that if we had done this the other way around and said, we have a bunch of data like product hierarchy, warehouse schedule, warehouse timesheets, and gone, well, what can we do with that data? Or let's put it all in a central data warehouse and do something with it. We wouldn't necessarily know where we focus the attention for that data. We wouldn't know why we need a product hierarchy in a central data warehouse. We wouldn't know what we do with the warehouse timesheets or the supply chain movements, because we haven't thought it through from that kind of like linkage back to the strategy, linkage back to the goals of the organization, so that we know that by investing time and energy and effort in the data, we're focusing on the right things that help us to achieve a goal that we're looking to contribute to creating a better business, a better organization, a better impact on our customers and stakeholders around us. So I hope that has helped understand this kind of top-down thinking. I hope it's helped understand what the industry, means by focusing on business outcomes, and giving you a bit of a structure to think about your own data strategy and focus for the most valuable impact on your business. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you again soon.